Good morning, guys. It's been a while since I updated. I've been like, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I have been super depressed, anxious, like, I don't know. There's a lot of things that are happening in my life that I can't control in any way. And there's a lot of things that I can, but I've neglected for so long. It's come to the point that it's going to be very hard to get it all back on track, and I'm trying. I feel like I've been trying the whole time, but like, to be real and honest, I probably have been half-assed trying the whole time. I don't know. So I haven't really made a lot of videos lately, and I've been working a lot. I work like a normal person, you know, like a 40-hour week or whatever. Actually, that's a lie. I have like 23 to 35-hour weeks, but either way. And then we homeschool, and we live with our friends, so it's kind of hard to find time and place to make a video. So, as most of you know, I lost my father to suicide in 2011, and obviously I'm still absolutely traumatized by that, and it's like a constant daily struggle with sadness and grief, and it's been 7 years, but it still hurts just the same. Anyway, on the 3rd was the anniversary of the day of his death, and today is the anniversary of the day that his body was found, and the sheriff came and talked to me. So I thought maybe to, I don't know, try to inspire some, I don't even know what word I'm looking for, some relief to the immense amount of pain that I feel from it. I would talk about it. I've talked about making a video about it a lot, but I've never actually made the video, and you see that? That cat, he tries to get outside that door. His feet are hanging about a foot off the ground when he does that. He just holds himself up. He's trying to escape because he knows I'm out here. Anyway, so I don't even know how I want to do this video. Like, I don't know what I want to say, but I just feel this intense urge to create it, and so I guess we're just gonna wing it. Sorry, I'm holding my phone because my selfie stick that I connect to my tripod has gone missing, and it kind of broke, so I don't. So anyway, taking so much time to get to the actual like meat of this video. It's ridiculous. So growing up, my dad wasn't really around a lot. Like, when I was really young, he was, but like, my parents got divorced, and he lived in a town that was about 20 minutes from the town that I lived in. And the town, so it was probably like a 40-minute drive. And like, we used to go week, and even when he lived up there for a while, we did, but then he was very abusive, and his health was kind of poor, so my mom used his health as an excuse to get us out of his house. He just had anger problems and was an alcoholic, and he didn't make a lot of money, so anybody who understands that sort of lifestyle would understand. Not saying that it was right that he beat us, but I'm not saying that I don't understand why, because I know how he was raised. And anyhow, So my mom got us out of there, and I was like, I'm gonna say like 10. And so from then on, I would hear from him every couple months, and I don't know, like, he was the one who understood me. Like, he got me. He knew my struggles, and he understood, and he listened when I talked. And like, growing up without him was hard. I mean, it wasn't without him, but he wasn't there. And then we would go to his house, and he was kind of a hoarder, and he was a slob, and so it was really filthy, and we would only go there every once in a while, and I don't know. So like, all of that was like really negative, and he was just miserable because he was so lonely, and he had a lot of problems with women, and he dated a trans woman, and she was wonderful. I mean, I was 12 at the time, so my perception on her as a person is probably skewed because she was awesome. She let us watch movies that my mom would have been so upset about, and my dad was so happy with her. She was wonderful. It was a little strange to me because I didn't know much about transgender and all of that, and I legitimately thought that she was born a woman, and I thought it was strange that she was as tall as my dad and broad shoulders like him. But anyway, she died in a car accident, but that's up for speculation. I've heard some other theories about, you know, that it was probably more a murder situation. I don't really know. I don't know. Anyway, when she died, his life just went downhill a lot worse, and then everyone he fell in love with just couldn't love him back the same way, and he was so lonely. And I remember the last time I went up and saw him, I was rushing because my boyfriend at the time was in the car, and he was like grumpy, and I don't even know why he wanted to come up to see my dad that time, and he didn't even get out of the car. He sat in the car and played his video game. I went inside with my son, and we talked to my dad, and we spent like an hour in there, and when he hugged me, he held me so tight, it hurt. Like, As for last hugs, I would have to say it was probably the best. If I would have known it was my last hug, maybe I would have held on a little longer. I don't know. I think about that hug a lot. And so that happened, and I went home, and I promised him I was going to come up in a couple days because it was Testy Fest at the Rock Creek Lodge, and he lived in a camper on their campsite property, and we were all going to go up there because it was this awesome festival. And anyway, so none of us could afford to make it up there because, it's struggling in our 20s, like, working at, my brother worked at Taco Bell, I worked at Burger King then, and I can't remember what my sister did, but I think she was like a hotel maid or something. Either way, it was like, we decided that we didn't want to pay to get in, we would just see him after the festival. So fast forward to Wednesday, August 3rd, 2011. It was like midday. I had to work at 3 or 4, and my dad called me, and I was literally stepping into the shower, so I ignored it, and I was going to call him back on my lunch break. I was kind of running late. I had to take my son all the way out to my mom's, which was a 10-minute drive from my house, and then another 10-minute drive to work, and so it was just kind of anyway. So at work that night, I didn't get a break. Not that that's relevant, but in the day he left a message and I listened to half of it, and then I only listened to half of it, and then I deleted it because I was like, I'll just call him back. And I hated my voicemail box being full because people always left me innate voicemails. So anyway, so I didn't get to call him back. I called him the next day and he didn't answer. And so, which was normal because he had a phone that you paid per day, like $2 a day. And if someone called you and you answered it, then that would charge you the $2 on your credited account or whatever. It was a weird Verizon like prepaid plan. Anyway, so then it's Saturday and a sheriff calls me and I had an unpaid traffic fine thing from like a no insurance ticket or something from a long time ago, and I had literally 4 days prior got a letter that said that if I didn't pay it, my license was going to be suspended. So like a sheriff called me and asked where I was, and I told him that I was at my mom's house, and he said he had something he needed to, I don't know. I don't even know. I thought that he was coming to arrest me because of my parking violation or my driving violation, which is really stupid because they don't do that. I mean, they do if they pull you over and you haven't paid it, but like, don't like come and find you. And then I didn't even know how he got my number. So he came, he told me to put my cigarette out, and then proceeded to tell me that my father was shot. And I said, is he okay? Is he at the hospital? Like, where is he? Like, the guy just didn't say anything for a moment, and he goes, there was a note. He has passed on. And I like couldn't breathe. I was like, what? And it was really scary though, because before that had happened, like my sister and my mom and my stepdad were backpacking. So for a moment I was like, is he telling me that something happened and that all of them are gone or whatever? Like, and then he told me about my dad, which I wasn't even thinking about, and it just like hit me like an unexpected, like, I don't know. I felt like I was punched in the stomach. So I told him that I didn't know, I couldn't talk to him, like I didn't know anything, like I was in shock, I guess. And I called my brother. My brother, he's a wake up between noon and 3 p.m. kind of person, and it was like, shit, it was like 9 a.m. And I called him and he didn't answer, and then I called him and he didn't answer, and then I called him one more time and he said, he answered the phone so angry. He was like, what fresh hell is this? And I said, well, I don't know how to say this. There's a sheriff here. He said that Dad shot himself and he needs to talk to you. And then my brother said, okay, I'll be there in a minute. He showed up in his work uniform, like he was gonna go to work after. That's my brother, through and through. And then halfway through the day, I was like, you should probably just call work and let them know you're not going to be there. And he was like, oh, I guess that is a thing that you can get out of work for. Like, I was like, get out of work, we have to plan a funeral and tell everybody. And then my sister, she was out of town. She was out of communication, like I couldn't even call her. Not that I would tell her over the phone. Not that, well, I did, but not that I wanted to. Sorry, traffic's kind of loud where I live. So we told everybody, and then like all of our immediate family except for the ones who were unreachable, and my sister, somebody posted on Facebook and tagged us in it, and then my younger sister got out of the woods, turned her phone on, and had all of these messages that said, "I'm sorry for your loss." And Chelsea was like, "Wait, what is going on?" Calls me, and I was like, "Tell Greg to pull over. Like, I need to tell you something. Tell him to pull over. This is not something I can tell you while he's driving." My mother refused to have him pull over. And so I was like worried, but I had to tell them. And I don't know if you've ever been the person that had to tell everybody the worst news that you've ever personally heard, and you had to relay it to everybody that you love, who also would be really hurt by it. It's like the most overwhelming and intense pressure, and especially if you're like an empath and like you just... Anyway, so I told them, and I heard, I don't know, I heard my stepdad slam on the brakes, and then they were yelling, and there was no accident or anything, but it was like scary because I was like, oh my god, don't make me lose you guys too. It was the worst day of my entire life, finding that out, and I'm not okay. I don't think I ever will be. I don't know how you come back from anything like that, but I used to read his note every day. I don't know. I used to just look at it. It was covered in his blood, which is weird, but I don't know. I had to put it in my hope chest in my storage unit because it got really bad. But like, that's the thing, is that the broken pieces of the people that you leave behind when you choose to take your life is probably like the worst, because we're all broken different ways. Like, they seem fine, they don't talk about it really, they all moved on. Like, I tried so hard to help everybody move on and get over it and be better that I didn't focus on myself, and then it all came crashing down, and I didn't leave my house. I don't know, I just became not a person, and I internalized, and I gained a severe amount of weight, and I became like a really shitty mom because Nate needed me just as much as I needed my parents, and he was only 3 when my dad died. He turned 3 that year, like right before, and anyway. And then after I decided to stop being depressed, I just turned to alcohol and drugs, which in my mind, it was me not being depressed anymore, but really it was me like spiraling and losing all the hope of, I don't know, a normal life. Like, I was just grasping at anything to make me feel okay. And it took a long time to get out of that. And now my sister's having a baby, and it's like, it hurts to know that my dad won't be there. It hurts to know that he won't meet Matthew, and Matthew's 4 now, but it's still just like, my dad isn't going to walk me down the aisle when I get married. He's not gonna be there. And I understand that he was in pain, but it's like, he chose to leave. He chose to be absent most of my life, and then he chose to be gone, instead of just asking me for help, like asking me if he could live with me, and or asking, you know, like when his rent was due, whatever, like asking me for money. Like, not that I had money, but like I could have helped him. Anyway, I spent 2 days this week just crying. I like don't even know. Every year at this time, I just relive all of those feelings and thoughts and the things that people said to me at that time. And like, we went to clean his trailer after he died, because I don't know, like we were just retrieving things, and like I don't it was terrible. I had to throw the clothes I wore that day away because washing them couldn't remove the way that they smelled to me. They smelled like death. That's so gross. Like, I don't know why I'm talking about that here, but like I washed them, and like my boyfriend at the time was like, they smell fine, but like I couldn't get it out. I literally was like inches away from parts of my dad's brain, like parts of the human body that you never want to see on the outside. Like, it broke me. I don't know how to be a normal person. I never knew how to be normal. I never quite grasped that part of life, and this just made it even worse. Like, I can't watch scary movies anymore. I can't watch action, violent movies. Somebody gets shot in the head, like, it just puts me over the edge, and I can't come back from it for a while. And I'm just reeling. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you can choose death. Like, I think about it all the time when I get depressed. I think about how life would be better for everyone if I just didn't exist. But like, my kids need me, and I could never hurt them that way, and I just don't understand. And I just like, I wish that I could talk to him again. I wish that I could just like listen to him talk. He used to call me all the time. He was my best friend. Once I grew up and like moved out of the house, like out of my mom's house or whatever, and like I was like an adult, and I don't know, it was like I talked to my dad every single day on the phone, and if it wasn't every day, it was every 3 days. He was my best friend. If I had a bad day, I would call him and just listen to him talk, and he would talk about movies, and he would talk about songs, and he would talk about food. He would talk about food in a way that was like, you could almost taste it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. He would sing to me. When I was little, we would dance in the kitchen, and we would sing, and we would listen to music, and it's like, there would be times when he would call me, and he would be really sad, and he would just be drunk, and he would play his guitar along to this John Denver CD, and he would just play it, and he would sing, and it was the best, because he knew I was listening. I don't know. I don't know how to be without him. And living my life, I lived it wrong for so long, trying to numb the pain that now I just have to accept that that's a part of me and it always will be. And, I don't know. I don't know how to not feel it. I don't know how to not be this broken shell of a person. And I'm trying so hard to make the right decisions and change my life and not be bitter and not be so impatient. And I'm trying to be there in my kids' lives and be present instead of being so frustrated. But it's so hard. And I don't have him to call and just be like, Dad, I need you. Because I do. I need him. And it's hard because I don't know if he felt like we loved him. He used to talk about us all the time. Everybody we met said he would talk about us, how beautiful we are, and how, like, I don't know, he used to brag about us. And that makes me feel good, but it also makes me sad because that clearly, like, he loved us. And I don't know if he felt like we loved him. And I just hope that I can be strong enough to, like, not fall apart every time I'm reminded of him. At work, I don't know if you've ever been in an IHOP or a chain restaurant. Chances are you have. They have a music system, and it always plays, like, generally older music because that appeals to a bigger, like, group of people, and it's more pleasant and whatever. And a lot of that happens to be music that's popular right now, and there's a bunch of songs. Like, there's one that's on the new Fallout, and it's a John Denver song, and that one comes on all the time. And there's a CCR song, Looking Out My Back Door. When I was a little girl, my dad used to sing that song every time we would get home from a trip. He was like, I don't know why, but that was just a thing. And then there's that Brown Eyed Girl song. My dad, that was like, he used to sing that song to me all the time. And we would dance. Anyway, now I'm just babbling, but that's the thing, is that when you lose someone to suicide, there's so many questions, and there's so many things that you just can't understand, and that you wish that you could change things and be there for that person more, and that you wish that you could have said something different. But the truth is that you couldn't. If they were hurting bad enough to the point where they were going to take their life, that was their plan. There's no way to stop it if they're determined. And I mean, to be honest, like, short of locking them up and making them more miserable, there's no way. I just don't. I don't know how to overcome it and how to not let it affect my everyday and my life. It's just become so ever present there. Just, I mean, there's a hole in me, and I spent so long trying to fill it and not just accepting that there will always be a hole. Always. It's just so difficult because everything reminds me of him. It's like everything, every little thing. My kids will do something really cute and I just like think about how I wish that I could call him and tell him about it. I wish that he could be here to see it. I remember Nate used to take my phone and he knew that my dad was speed dial number 2. And he would call him. He would just call him all the time. And I would hear him talking in his room and I'd be like, who is he talking to? He'd stolen my phone, called my dad. Nate is broken too. But he talks about him and cries about him all the time. So I try to not get too sad about it in front of him. I try to listen and we talk about the good memories instead of talking about the sadness. We try to just remember the good and be happy. But sometimes the good memories are more sad than the bad ones. Because it's like we can never have that time again. And I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna put this video up. This is too much, but anyway. If you know someone that you think you're worried about may hurt themselves or someone else or whatever, like, there are numbers you can call, there are hotlines, there's a suicide hotline you can call, and they will help you. I don't really know. I've never had to call one, but I don't know what they say or what they do, but I've heard a lot of people who really believe that they can help, and I believe that they can help. So I am going to post that number down in the description. If I put this up, I don't know. If you have gone through something similar to this and you would like someone to talk to who understands, reach out to me. Description, and yeah, I only know a handful of people who really have gone through this and that aren't my family, you know, and it's always nice to have someone else to talk to, especially when you feel alone in your grief. So I'm sorry for all of the sadness, but I just had to make this video trying to make myself feel better, trying to get back on track in life, and I'm trying so hard to overcome and to be happy again. I don't know if I've ever been happy, but we'll try. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please remember, if you ever feel alone to the point where you want to end your life, it gets better. Life is better. I mean, there's so much out there, so much to look forward to, so much you can accomplish in your life. Remember that there are people who love you and there are people who care. And there are people to talk to that don't know you. You could call the hotline. You could reach out to people online. Like, It's too short already. Don't make it shorter. Life is worth living.